For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh.
I'm Ashley.
Today we're talking about
Forbidden Fruits.
So this movie tells the story of a girl named Pumpkin who befriends a trio of girls a la Mean Girls, only to get a little bit more than she bargains for.
First thoughts, you mentioned Mean Girls. A little bit of that meets like The Craft done badly. No love lost here. No nostalgic feels. It came from the same people that did Lisa Frankenstein, which I loved.
I think this movie suffers a bit too heavily from familiarity. This movie almost vibes so hard like Mean Girls. It is scary, predictable in certain parts. And I feel like that's the basis that they went after. And then they, like you said, went after The Craft. And then in the third act, they chose to go after another horror franchise.
Yep.
Really kind of hit home. I loved those sequences, but I'm a gore hound and you are not.
Character-wise, it falls a little flat. I don't know if it's just because it's Lili Reinheart, and I used to watch Lili Reinheart, grew up watching her on Riverdale. Same basic Bad Betty vibes the whole movie. So if you're a Riverdale fan, that'll give you a little Easter egg, a little clue to what you're looking at. Character-wise, I think maybe they were trying to go for oh my gosh, like New Girl Valley horror drama. But they failed because they were so stuck on like the nostalgia aspect of it that it just did not hit, at least for me. It fell very, very short, very, very quickly.
This movie has a lot of camp. This movie is unexpectedly funny, but it's funny from a camp perspective.
I will trigger warning beyond the blood, beyond the gore. I will trigger warning anyone that ever dealt with any kind of psychological warfare in high school, in college, in like a first job place. It can potentially bring some stuff up. Talk about the different versions of being sober. So that is a very strong topic in the movie. If you went through any kind of psychological bullshit in high school, you're gonna take the movie differently.
Having not gone through a lot of that shit in high school, I didn't have that. Again, this hit all of those nostalgia points for me. But I will say, this film kind of takes this, we talk about, some of the blood and gore. This film takes a really, just sharp left turn into that. There's a point in this movie where characters are having conversations and boom. Gore.
Yep.
It just comes out of nowhere.
Without going into spoilers, I will agree with you that it is 80% psychological horror and then 20% actual gore horror.
How do you feel about the pacing of this movie? I definitely felt, for me, there were definitely parts where it could not keep up evenly. There were parts of it that definitely dragged on.
I mean, I think it was appropriate. I think the way they do all the character development they can't develop the characters but so much because 90% of the plot is the characters' backstories.
Well, let the record show, I hated this twist in the end. This was one of the worst twists I think I've seen in any film in a long time.
Not true. Not true. I will never get over Wuthering Heights and the butchering of the book. So not true. I mean, from your perspective and the nostalgia background you have, then yeah, of course, I could see it absolutely being like, oh gosh, like the twist you hate. But at the same time, it feels very, like you said, campy. It's very Riverdale twist.
And I think it's ready to run Forbidden Fruits through the old Rorschach rating scale.
Mm-hmm.
You go first, my love.
Me? Oh, it's like I said, it's not as bad as Wuthering Heights. I'm gonna give it a 2.2, 2.3. Not quite a 2.5, because there's definitely much better 2.5 movie for me.
I'm gonna go ahead and get just a little higher with a 3.5. The reason I say 3.5 is this hits a lot better for me than it did for you, with the nostalgia, with Mean Girls being one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Craft. I love the third act homage that it pays to other horror series. I loved the gore in this movie, and I loved how unintentionally bad this movie was. This movie is not good, but it's a lot of fun. We're going to visit you guys next week to talk about the mental health of this film, because we are going to get into some minor spoilers for it. But if you guys haven't seen Forbidden Fruits, check in the show notes below where you guys can check out the local listings. If you guys have seen Forbidden Fruits, comment below and let us know what you guys thought of it. In the show notes below, you guys will also find links to our mental health resource library, show notes like this, our podcast, and the rest of the podcasts on our podcast network, as well as that subscribe button. So until next time, keep it classy.